It's Christmas morning, 1960, and this is some of the very first footage my parents shot with their new camera. A holiday metermatic 8mm movie camera. It was a morning of toy trains, mechanical robots, and celebrating the birthday of the baby Jesus. But Jesus wasn't the only one celebrating a birthday that day. It was my Aunt Betty's birthday as well. You can see my brother and me helping her blow out the candles. Over here is my mother, acting like her hair was on fire or being attacked by a swarm of bees. I have no idea what was actually going on. And this man next to her? We'll get to him in a bit. Let me introduce you to my family. This is me at age 3. And here's my little brother Chris, just 14 months old. This is my dad, William, although everyone knew him as Bill. And here's my stylish mother, Georgina. Next up is her mother, my maternal grandmother, Sylvia, and my mom's older sister, Betty. And then there's this man. His formal name was the Reverend Joseph Groth, a priest of the Archdiocese of Detroit. I have early memories of seeing him say Mass one Easter at St. Aloysius Church in downtown Detroit, where he was assigned. To my parents, he was either Father or Father G. To my brother and me, he was Uncle Father. I have many fond memories of him. This is his story and the impact he had on our family. It is now 2026, and everyone you have just been introduced to are now gone, leaving me the only one left with any connection to these 60-year-old memories. Before they are lost forever, I want to share the story of my Uncle Father. For as long as I can remember, Father Groth was a cherished family member, being present at all types of gatherings. As to when he initially came into our lives, I can only speculate, but I have many questions. I do know that he was a guest at my parents' wedding in 1955. Going through my mother's things after her death, I came across this signed wedding card. Going further back, my maternal grandfather was a Romanian immigrant, a Bolshevik, and a committed atheist, refusing to allow religion in the home. At age 19, my mother took it upon herself to convert to Catholicism. Following her lead, my Aunt Betty converted as well. Is it possible Father Groth was the priest who instructed them? What initially sparked his interest in my family? Was it one person in particular? Did he adopt us, or did we adopt him? Unfortunately, all those answers died with my mother. There are a number of things that stand out in my memories of Father Groth. The first was his personality. He was very gregarious, with a laugh that came easily. He was smart, funny, kind, and a great storyteller. Next, I would have to mention his generosity. Remember that robot my brother was carrying? That was Mr. Machine, the hottest, most sought-after toy that year. Somehow, Uncle Father was able to track one down and buy it for him. That generosity extended to my parents as well. 1960 was the year that Father Groth gifted my parents the aforementioned movie camera, a few boxes of film, this movie viewer editor that I am demonstrating, and a movie projector. Also, a light bar for shooting indoors. Notice the light's blinding reflection over my grandmother's head. As a result of his generosity, I am left with over an hour and 40 minutes of recorded family history, documenting holidays, birthday celebrations, family gatherings, first days of school, first communions, weddings, vacations, a trip to Expo 67 in Montreal, and even an appearance by Queen Elizabeth during her visit to Ottawa in honor of the country's centennial. But I think the greatest gift left to me is this footage of my mother, so animated and full of life here as she plays for the camera. It was only after I had this footage digitized that I realized how much of my personality I owed to her. Another Christmas, he presented my parents with this telescope. I recall summer nights standing in the backyard, peering at the craters of the moon as well as the rings of Saturn. Following a trip to the Holy Land, he brought this carved chess set for my father. This modern crucifix that now hangs in my home, and this gutra, or head covering. As you can see, my family had great fun modeling it. As for myself, I still have this small crucifix, as well as this illustrated children's Bible that I received for my first communion. I have many fond memories of lying in bed with my mother and brother while she read stories to us before bedtime. Our favorite was the beheading of John the Baptist, complete with this grisly picture of John's severed head being served up on a silver platter. Next on the list would be his creativity. He had a playful, curious mind, and it was reflected in his interest in puzzles, tinker toys, photography, filmmaking, and even magic. Here he is performing at the Bon Voyage party my parents threw for him before he headed out on his trip to the Holy Land. I like how they decorated the basement with travel posters to set the theme. Many of the photos I have on display in my home came from Father Groth. These are two of my favorites. The one on the left is my mother and me. On the right is another one of my mom, captured jumping, face full of glee, while my father looks at her with awe and admiration. A little backstory on this picture. In 1959, Philippe Halsman's iconic Jump book featured a collection of nearly 200 photographs of famous people jumping. Inspired by this book, one evening Uncle Father captured members of my family in midair. Here's a few shots of my Aunt Betty. And here's Uncle Father himself. By the looks of these pictures, it appears to be Christmas. Note the tree in the corner. But the jumping photos weren't the only pictures they took that evening. Here are photographs of my aunt, mother, father, and Father Groth reacting as their faces were splashed with water. On another occasion, he brought his Polaroid camera to my grandmother's house. He had us sit in front of the window while he photographed us with the camera in silhouette mode. Notice the drop hanging from my father's chin as he sips his martini. He also took photos of my brother and I wearing his clerical collar. My parents' movie camera provided great opportunities for fun and innovation, with my Uncle Father leading the way. Here is a short montage of the stop-motion films they made. He shot this scene with the camera turned upside down, so that when the film was flipped around and spliced back in, it would play in reverse. Here's my father's short-lived career as a hat model. And here's some silly fun with nylon stocking masks. Finally, I want to give a quick mention to his sense of adventure. Here we are out on a drive, aboard the ferry to spend the day exploring Harson's Island. On another occasion, he and my aunt and my grandmother piled into his Ford Falcon and took a drive up to the Mackinac Bridge and back, just for the day. I think it goes without saying that he was the most interesting man we knew. It's just too bad he didn't stay in our lives. "1966 was a year that everything changed. This was a year that my father's architect job took us to Ottawa, Canada, for just under a year. My grandmother joined us for the first month to help us get settled in, leaving my Aunt Betty back in Detroit. My Aunt Betty and Father Groth seemed to share a special bond, including occasional public displays of affection that did not go unnoticed by others. One Sunday afternoon, we were to learn how deep that bond actually was. My aunt called my grandmother, very upset. My Uncle Father informed her that he was planning to leave the priesthood. On top of that, he confessed his deep love for her and asked her to marry him. She declined. I've often wondered why. Did she not want to be responsible for him forsaking his vows to the church? Or did she love him to such an extent that she did not want to burden him with her problems? Regardless, he was gone from our lives forever. My Aunt Betty led a complicated and troubled life. Her attractive appearance, combined with her exuberant personality, often put her at the center of attention. However, she also struggled with her mental health, going back to age 19 when she suffered a breakdown. When she was 32, she had surgery on her spine, leading to a dependence on painkillers and eventually alcohol. These struggles contributed to an unstable work life as she went from job to job, relying on my parents financially for many years. That being said, she loved my brother and me deeply and unconditionally, spoiling us with gifts she could ill afford. We loved her, and she was our favorite aunt. I don't recall much talk of Father Groth after that. Several years later, a mutual friend did manage to track him down. He had settled in Brighton, Michigan, gotten married, and became an elementary school principal. My aunt finally married in her early 40s. My new uncle had been a heavy drinker. Now my aunt joined him. Over the years, her condition slowly deteriorated as her drinking took its toll, despite 2 stints in rehabilitation. In the spring of 1980, she died due to internal bleeding brought on by her years of alcohol abuse. She was just 51. Looking back, I've often wondered how my Aunt Betty's life might have been different if she'd married Father Groth. Could he have provided the stabilizing influence she needed? I like to think so. Now, you may think that this is where the story ends, but there's one final chapter. One December day in 1985, I was driving home from work, and for some reason my Uncle Father was on my mind, despite it being 19 years since we had last seen him. As I drove, I reflected on how much he meant to my family and what a large part he played in all of our lives. Christmas was approaching, and my brother was coming home for the holidays from Wisconsin. I couldn't let go of the idea that maybe the two of us could find out where he lived and go pay him a visit. Sadly, that was not to be. A few days after Christmas, my mother called to inform me that she had seen his death notice in the Detroit Free Press. I've never put much faith in the supernatural or clairvoyance, but I was struck by how he had occupied my thoughts so close to his death. As I was doing research and gathering assets for this film, I came across this local obituary listing the name of his wife, his home address, and the elementary school where he was a principal. It also mentioned the Catholic Church where he was a parishioner. I found it interesting that his wife was also named Elizabeth. The obituary stated that he married in 1970. It also listed adult children as well as grandchildren, indicating he married into a ready-made family. I still regret this lost opportunity to reconnect with my Uncle Father. There are so many questions left unanswered. I would have wanted to ask him how his life played out after we parted company. I would have brought him up to date with our family's lives. I would have asked if he ever thought of any of us, and my Aunt Betty in particular. I would have told him about the lasting impression he made and how much he meant to our family. And lastly, I would have thanked him for his early inspiration for my twin passions of photography and filmmaking. Rest easy, Uncle Father. I hope somehow you know that after all these years, you are still missed.